Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlan
and Tory,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did.
Welcome back to the Take the Leap podcast. We're so excited to speak today to Peya Robbins. Peya is just a regular girl from the Bronx in New York. Since 2011, she has moved 20 times across 3 different states. I don't know how you do it. I'm like stressed out by just moving again. She was looking for something more and she found it, the freedom to live her life exactly as she wanted to. These days, she helps others find their very own something more by showing them their businesses can run exactly as they need to. Because hard isn't something you need to carry on your own, and we can construct systems that support you in pursuing your wildest dreams. Well, thank you so much, Pei, for being on with us.
Happy to have you.
Your little bio here is exactly what all of Take the Leap is about. So to kick us off, we would love if you just tell us your Take the Leap story, how you became an entrepreneur.
Thanks so much, both of you, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And what a juicy question to start with. I think the clean answer is I needed a job. I needed to make money in a way that I didn't have to report into something or clock into something because I had health issues. And so if you're sick all the time and going through different doctor's appointments and treatments and this and that, it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, of course I'll be there at 9. Of course I'll be here. And there's only so much. I was employed by places that I did have a lot of freedom, or I was in management positions because overachiever over here. I could always be like, oh, I'll work whatever you need me to work, whatever holidays you need me to come in for, but I really need this time. So I was always able to figure something out, but I knew that I needed something that I could mold into what I needed it to be easier. And then I got pregnant and I was like, oh no, for sure. This is like a huge monkey wrench. And I definitely need something on my terms, on my own terms, to figure out what I'm going to do and still eat every day.
Yeah, I feel like we totally underestimate the fact that like life and shit happens. And sometimes businesses and places that we work are not kind to us while we figure out parts of our life. Like I remember telling when I was like even doing like job interviews and stuff, you would make fake doctor's appointments to go to take these interviews. And I finally told one of the places that I was interviewing at, I was like, okay, so either you need to give me this job or else I'm going to have to come up with some kind of excuse like I have cancer or I'm pregnant, because no girl goes to the fucking doctor this much without being one of those things.
So make up your damn mind already.
Laughed about it afterwards, but I did get the job. Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny.
Also, our medical system here is just
shit.
Like
trash.
That's a whole other part of this conversation that we won't have, but yeah.
Well, and I appreciate what you said about, becoming a parent and needing a job that is more flexible and needing something that fits your life instead of, the other way around. I think that's why a lot of entrepreneurs do this, not necessarily because of parenthood, but because they have life circumstances that change. And I
I also am a parent. My kid is 19 months old, and my business before having a kid and now is completely different. And what I do is completely different. I just think I think we interviewed someone recently who said entrepreneurship is not a straight line. And I think that's just such a true fact. Like, we always are evolving as we go and just molding our businesses to fit our lifestyle. So yes, I appreciate you sharing that.
I love what you said there too about your child is younger than mine. It changes, because in the beginning I was running my business because I knew I needed money, and I also had a newborn and then a toddler, and before she went to school, I knew I needed money because I had to buy diapers consistently. I had to buy Lorelai went through 11 different kinds of formula when she was a baby. All of those things are expensive. Like, it was so much. And now I'm like, yes, I still want to make money because I've now built, there's new floors at every level of business. And I like certain things. I like a certain lifestyle, but I'm trying to get time back with her because now she's super fun. She's 8 and she's super fun to hang out with. So I'm still running the same business. I'm still helping the same people, but just my family goal is different because I just want to hang out with her.
I love that. I love that so much. And that also is giving me a little bit of hope because I'm in the toddler phase right now. And it's nice when people remind me that it's not going to be like this forever.
Yeah. It won't. It'll be so much. It's all fun, but it's going to be so different pretty soon.
Absolutely.
When she hits that teenager phase where she hates you because you're her mom, don't worry, it gets better. That's what I always tell moms, is like, when they're like, oh my God, I'm like, it gets better.
Yeah, I was my mom's
it changes.
troubled teenager, and we're pretty close now, so I love my mom. But it took me getting out of that teenager stage, and we had to have our few years apart, but we made it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it took the distance for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that helps.
That also helps. Sometimes I don't necessarily feel this way about my mom, but I feel this way about certain family members. I feel like there's kind of a window of time where it's like 48 hours max, and then I need to go back home, or we need some time in between. So I definitely think there's a good rule of thumb there. But now that you know what you know and you've had your business for a while, is there anything that you would advise your younger self who is just starting out? Any advice you would give them?
Stop fucking listening to people.
Yes.
I mean, Ashlan knows me, right? We've known each other for a little bit now. I am smart. I say this to myself all the time. I'm super smart. I'm resilient. I can get through everything. I can figure out a solution from nothing, strings and chewing gum. I can figure it out. And something in me, which this is why I go to therapy, something in me is always like, you're not good enough to do that. That's a fantastic idea, but you're not good enough to do that. You need permission, approval, insert random nonsense, insert random bullshit here. And it stops me, and then I just sit on it, and I don't do anything with it. And people are like, hey, do you remember that idea that you had months ago? When are you going to do that? And I'm like, And then years later, there's stuff that I'm doing now that was on a to-do list when I was 20, and I'm 44 now. And I just never did. I just never gave myself, I don't know, permission or whatever. Yeah.
I was so happy when I looked at your website and Hype B is there. Because I remember those conversations. I think we were having brunch and you were like, I'm thinking about doing this. Yes.
Yeah. And it's so fun. It's stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But I just never let myself do it.
I'm going to write that on a sticky note.
think that we are so used to, when we work in other places, being told that you need permission, you need access granted, you need all of this stuff to be able to do things. And, as entrepreneur, I mean, I'm still learning it as an entrepreneur, like, oh shit, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Mhm.
Like, you don't want to do this today, or, you prefer to do that over this. Like, we get to make our own choices, our own decisions. It's also kind of scary too, because if you choose something that like is like a womp womp and you don't make money on it, it's just like, okay, well, that's not the right thing. Then
Right. Do
we'll just
something else.
do something else. But yeah, we get to choose all of those moments, which is great.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It is kind of hard to remember as an entrepreneur, I think, that had experience in the corporate world and nonprofits and stuff. Like, I was so used to always checking in, always asking for opinions, always asking for permission to move forward, that now sometimes reminding myself that I don't need to be going to my clients for that. Like, I'm the one who decides that, and that's why they hired me to work with them, has been a bit of a learning curve still. And I feel like hopefully I can master that soon. But I feel like I'm constantly having to remind myself, oh wait, as Ashlan said, I make my own fucking decisions.
Yeah, like that's why we did this, right? That's why we're building these things. Oh, I want to be my own boss, and then we're consistently looking for someone to tell us what to do when we're the boss.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna put that on a sticky note, and I'm just gonna remind myself of that every day.
Okay, my friend. Last of the questions before we put you in the hot seat and do some rapid fires. They're really not that hard. However, they should be fun. But the last one, this one actually ends up like getting to people. What is your why? Why do you choose this lifestyle, work, entrepreneurship journey?
Because it wasn't built for us. It wasn't built for women. It wasn't built for women of color. When my parents came to this country, their dreams for us were not, oh my gosh, I hope that she disrupts an industry and fucking does whatever the fuck she wants. That was not the dream. The dream was go get straight A's, be the very best at whatever you can do, find a rich man to marry, go to school and be a lawyer or a doctor or something of value so that I can brag about you back home. That was the dream. And when I told my parents had very different reactions, but when I told my mom, I was like, I quit my job today. And she's like, you're pregnant. And I said, right. But I quit my job. I'm going to figure it out. And still, it took her so many years to even just get on board. She couldn't wrap her mind around the fact that I was literally out here just vibing and making money. I still have really good clients. I have great relationships with them. I build all these things with them. I get to have fun for the most part. It gets stressful, obviously, like anything else, but I build these really great things and I eat every day. And my rent gets paid every month. And all these things are happening. All these very traditional things are happening, but I'm doing it on my own terms. I can hop on a plane tomorrow if I wanted to and go anywhere. And that was so hard to grasp. And that's why I do it. Like I'm building freedom for myself. I got to be a sick young adult and live my life exactly as I wanted to, or exactly at that time how I needed to. I get to be a parent who can shuffle client meetings to go chaperone my kid's school trip next week. Like, I get to do those things. And it's just not, it's just not what we're told. It's not what we're told that is possible for us. It was always this like one very clear trajectory. And I don't want to fucking do that. That's so boring. It's just so boring, and it's not what I want. Could I have had some like amazing corporate career in someone's company? Of course, because I'm an overachiever and that's just who I am. Would I have had fun? Would I have met the people that I've met now who I love so dearly? Could I have had... I know that I never would have met my partner if I was working at a jobby job, like a real jobby job.
Mm-hmm.
which means no Lorelai, which means no, like, I would have never met Ashlan. Like, all these things needed to happen the way they happened so that I can have the life that I love and that I live right now.
That's incredible.
So I do, what, freedom, I guess, is my why. And Lorelai thinks it's weird. When she sees her dad go to work, she's like, why do you have to leave the house to go to work to make money? Why? Mommy does it in pajamas. Where are you going? And he's like, yeah, but I have to go to a place. And she's like, I don't think that's a very good choice. Same, sis. I also don't think that's a very good choice.
Oh, the words that come out of your child. Yeah.
She is the sassiest. The sassiest.
I love it.
I don't know where she gets it from. Must be her dad.
Must be. Shall we go into the hot seat questions?
Absolutely. I think so. I think we're ready.
All right. I am the first one up. So, don't worry. They're not really that hot. They're just like lukewarm. They're not scalding hot. Actually, my first question is fun. What is the best and or worst piece of advice you've received along the way in your career in entrepreneurship, whatever?
Best and worst advice. The best advice, I think, is someone was like, you should get a coach. You need a coach. And I was like, for what? I've tried coaches. I've had coaches before. And I think you need to find the right coach for you. And really, really, like, it doesn't matter how many programs or whatever you've enrolled in. When you find the right person, like, be all in. Jump in feet first and, like, really do the work. Because me a year ago couldn't even imagine my life today or my business today, for sure. But I feel like I have the right coach. The worst advice, so many things, and it's like all men just talking. It's like, I think the worst advice is like a concept of I cannot be myself and be successful. Like, it has to follow this professional path. So I can't curse. I can't show up in sweatshirts that say, with aliens on them to meetings. That's unprofessional. That is like, oh, you're doing your violent confirmation. What? That is the worst advice. Like, people thinking in their own, what I say is their own fear of like being themselves, but like not success means you can't be yourself. Like, you have to be someone else. I think it's the worst collection of advice.
That's such a good point. And I think we've all experienced that for sure. In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, being yourself is so important. I've had people be like, what? You show up to client meetings with colored hair, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that tells me right away, if you can't deal with the fucking color of my hair,
we're not going to,
yeah. I don't care.
We're not going to work well together.
This is great. This is a great filter for situations, But yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, next question from me. So Tori and I recently did an episode about creating content consistently. I personally struggled getting a damn monthly newsletter out, but I've been rocking a weekly newsletter, and I know and I personally appreciate your daily newsletter, Violent Confirmations. So can you share with our audience about how you get it out there consistently and maybe some tips and tricks that you have? I honestly think for being authentically you in your emails, as we've talked about.
In the beginning, I had a goal, and I'm a person that once I decide to do something, I have to see it through completely. So the Violent Confirmation started because I wanted to see, I didn't have an email list at all, and I wanted to see if I could send an email every day in 2022, and actually sent every day +1 because I thought that I didn't send one out. And so in a panic, I sent another one and they were both super mean. And people were like, no, you can't double up. That was all the responses I got that day. They're like, wait, why am I getting yelled at 2 times? And I was like, oh, I did send one. You guys are fine. Like, it's great. So I had to meet this metric and I wouldn't allow myself to fail because I was really experimenting. You know, you hear all of that. You don't own your socials. If if Instagram disappears tomorrow, you don't own any of this stuff. Like, it'll just be gone. So I wanted to try this email list. And then at the end of the year, I was like, well, that's experiment over. I did it. I sent an email every day. It's fine. And then people were like, oh, no more? Like, I'm never going to get one again?
I was one of those people. I was like, where the hell is my message?
Yeah.
I need it.
And then I realized that I started to miss it. And so I would send a couple here and there. And I'd do it for a week and then I'd disappear again. And it was all that, like, junk in my head thinking, you know, this was a fluke. Most of it was my friends who were signed up to the list. We all had fun and that was that. And then I realized how, I don't know, it was doing good for me. It was doing good for people around me. People that were on the list were getting things done and then sharing things back with me like, oh, this email that you sent me. And then look at this cool thing that I built. And I was like, oh man, like maybe I should just keep doing it. And I started kind of teased it out a little bit. And then in a conversation with my coach, I was like, I think I want to do this again. Like I really miss it. It was so fun. And she's like, fucking do it. Like go start doing it again. And I did. And I think what keeps me consistent is that like I'm having so much fun. The email is every day. I send it out at 5:55 a.m. Pacific. And it's under 100 words, including the signature that's always there. Like it's under 100 words. I can literally wake up and just think, I could have a bad dream and be like, that's the message, and go type it. I try to do it every night. That's how I close the day in my business. I do all the things. I write my to-do list for the next day, and the last thing I'll do is I'll go into ConvertKit and I'll schedule it. Sometimes I'll batch it, and that I like it because I get to do a bunch at a time and not have to worry about it. But then I forget what I wrote, and then I'm also on the receiving end of it. Like when I write them at night for the next day, it doesn't feel as harsh. But when I do like a week's worth, and then I'm also opening like, oh, what was today's? And then I'm like, girl, why are you talking to people like that? That's so rude. So I really enjoy it. And that can be across the board in your business. Like the thing that you super enjoy is the thing you always do. If you hate sending invoices, like, well, maybe not sending invoices because that's how we get paid. But like if you hate X thing, maybe that's a thing that you can outsource to someone. If you're not great at writing content or it's not fun for you, outsource that in some way, shape, or form and keep the things that really fill you with joy. And that email, that's one of them. It's so easy.
It's been such a good thing to have. Just like it wakes, it's like one of the first things that I read every morning. And sometimes I respond back and sometimes I don't. And, sometimes it was just the thing that you needed to hear. But it's so interesting that you remind people that like the email list is what they own. Social media is a rented platform. I've been going back and forth with a lot of people about, TikTok right now. And like, they're just like, oh my God, I feel like I need to be here. And I was like, I'm telling nobody to start anything there until we know what the hell is happening, because there's some social media folks who have like doubled down and they're like, oh, they could just sell it to somebody. And I'm like, yeah, I need to put that much effort into something that in 1 year from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, you don't know what's going to happen to it. I was like, you would be better served to play here than in this maybe space that might go away. It's just be like, if you would like to burn some time and some money, please do. If you would like to commit it to somewhere else, do that. And so that's what I've been saying to a lot of folks. Meanwhile, if you would like to just veg out on TikTok, I'm totally cool with that. But in terms of like using that to promote and like live your business on, it might go away. And it's a scary technology world out there.
Yeah.
And to that point too of playing with the things that you actually like that bring you joy. If you hate recording videos and posting them, you're probably just going to put it off. So having that goal of doing a daily video just isn't, it's not realistic. It's not going to work for you. And if you are really good at sending emails, then maybe you want to focus your time on emails. If you're really good at videos, maybe knowing with TikTok and where it's going, maybe you post on Reels. Like, you know, it's just, I think as a business owner, kind of back to our earlier conversation, we set it up to work for us. And so pick the things that you know are going to make you happy and bring you joy and help your business grow. Don't just jump on because everybody's fucking telling you to do it, you know, all the different trends and things. So yeah, it's a really good reminder. That's a good point. Okay, I'm going to pivot a little bit. So I, in preparing for this interview, stalked your website a little bit, and I read the blog post on your website called Making Money and Killing Shame. And, I want to talk, I basically just wanted to bring this up and talk to you about it a little bit more because, I can relate, and I feel like so many others can relate. You talked about like the shame associated with wanting money and saying that out loud. So I guess what in your own life, and business kind of inspired this topic? And, yeah, if you want to share anything about that with our listeners.
I'm not good at holding money. I feel like I'm just a lot of money shame. I grew up not having a ton of money, and it caused a lot of limitations and things that I want to do, which I now can do with Lorelai, which is, it's weird because she's like, oh, did you do this when you were a kid? And I'd be like, no, we couldn't afford that. Are you crazy? Name brand cereal. Where? Who is she? Because not in my childhood. And we still made it work. And I think coming from that place of where financially there was a lot of scarcity around that, it's really hard to then wake up today and say, I'm going to make $100K today on this launch. And it just feels like, oh, this doesn't fit right. It just doesn't fit. And then you start, I for a lot of years was under the belief that I couldn't do high ticket, right? Everything had to be super cheap, like low expense for someone, and I was gonna always over deliver. So it started to feel like a job where you're expected to do everything for the cool pizza party at the end of the month, and you have nothing to show for it except you're exhausted. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it just feels, it's so hard. Money shit is just so fucking complicated all the time. And it's okay for you to say, I want money. I want to make money. Money makes shit happen. Money is the thing, especially living in this country. If you tell me that on your goal list, you get to number 9 and money is not yet one of them, you're lying to everyone. Yourself, me, everybody who you've ever told this narrative to. Money, when people joke and they're like, how much money do you want to make? I want to make election buying money. That is the amount of money that I want to make. I want to make actual change in this country, on this planet. All of that requires money. I would love to live in a place where community, like I talk about this in one of my communities a lot. It comes up all the time. A community of like bartering. I love to trade. I love to trade services with my friends because all of my friends are so brilliant and they do so many different things across the board. Why wouldn't I want to support them? And if I can offer them something in exchange that they need, why not? But we're not there yet. We're definitely not there yet as a country. And I think there's little smaller communities that could do this really well, but it's not the norm. Mm-hmm. So that I don't know, it's just, money is just weird. And you can say, hey, I definitely want to I'm going to launch this thing on June 1st and I want to make 6 figures immediately on this one day. That's my goal. I want to make $250,000 off this thing. Yes, let's go fucking do that, babe. Mm-hmm. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't feel, people get weird about money too, because it's like, oh, you want 100K? I just want to help people. Bitch, that's the same thing. That is the same thing, because I'm not killing people. I'm not doing illegal things to make this money. I'm doing this because what I have is valuable, and it's valuable to a bunch of people. And that's how I'm going to make this money. And then I'll go do something amazing with this money. I'll go invest in a community. I'll go offer a scholarship in my local school, like whatever the thing is. I think your intentions, you need to be cool with your intentions, and you need to just sit there and not don't put shame on yourself. Don't make yourself wrong for the things that you want, but not let people project, because money's a loaded topic in any situation. In any conversation where money comes up, there's strong emotions around that for different people. I don't know. It's hard and it's complicated, but yeah, I want to make election buying money. I want to walk into somebody's office and be like, hey, I'm going to need you to figure out how you can run for this congressional seat, because we need to change some stuff here.
And if the current millionaires and billionaires of the world are the ones who are doing that now, like, think of just how much of a difference we could make as a community if we were able to do the same thing.
I read, maybe you were in the group that we read We Should All Be Millionaires. Were you in that when we did the book club that read that? I can't remember if you were or not.
I don't think I was yet.
Yeah, but we did We Should All Be Millionaires. And yeah, one of the chapters, she talks about money and like how we live in a capitalist society. Like money makes shit happen. Like you said, money makes shit happen. So instead of being ashamed of it, get yours, get your bag, spend it in the ways that is going to make the world a better place, or a better place for, the collective.
There's not a rich person out there right now that's like, oh my gosh, I should give some of this back. And then they're making shit decisions with it. They're not thinking about, hey, I'm going to go uplift this entire community because I'm not even going to feel this at the end of the day. Like, this is just a drop in my bank account and I can uplift 1,000 people. They're not thinking that way. They're like, oh, I'm going to add a zero because I want to. And then I'm going to go to space with that money. I want to see aliens too. But I know that there's shit that we need to do here.
I was mentioning it to somebody the other day. I was just like, I want to be one of those people that can afford a private jet that can take me anywhere. Like, that's the kind of money. That's like, I can go wherever the fuck I want. And then somebody that I met here in Vegas was just like, did you know you just can like rent people's private jets in Vegas because they just like sit there? And I was like, don't tell me that, because I want one. Like, that's somebody else's. I don't want to give them money. I want my own money, and then I want to rent my private jet out.
Yes. Airbnb jets.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Be like, you can bring your dog. It's fine. You can travel and all of that stuff.
How wild. You can rent somebody's jet.
Yeah. There's a lot of private airports here in Vegas. There's reasons why we'll be here to do things. As well.
Oh, can you imagine though, like if you had a long flight and can you imagine if you had like an international flight that was like 8 to 12 hours long and you got to go on a private jet with your dog and sleep on the plane and have just like this amazing experience and then show up after like 12 hours feeling refreshed and rejuvenated.
Someday.
Oh my gosh,
I'll be there.
Do I want a jet?
I think so. I think we all want one.
Maybe I want a jet. I've never thought about this before.
We can all go in on one. We can be, we're very organized ladies. Yeah. We can have the Google Calendar that shares, pay the pilot, learn to fucking fly. Like, that would be amazing. So anyways, that is what entrepreneurship has taught me to do, is dream bigger. Because like, if I was just toiling for somebody, I would not think I'm going to get PJ money at some point.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, don't dare me to dream big. I will do it. All right. So I know that you made a pivot with your business a while back because we've known each other for a while. So switching up your messaging and your offering, can you share with our audience how you knew it was time to make changes and what was the easiest part of making the change and maybe what was like the hardest part about making those changes?
The easiest part was deciding. The easiest part was I need to do this because the reason I knew is because I was fixing my resume. I was ready to not have to
Oh,
make decisions. I was I say there's this thing that I say all the time, and as soon as, like, if I get bored or I'm just like this isn't it, I'm quick to burn something to the ground. I just be like, I'm not having fun. I will implode this entire business quickly before the weekend. And I kept feeling that, and I'm just like, why is this so hard? Oh, this is so annoying. I was just getting annoyed at different things, and I have a tendency to just cut it off if something doesn't feel good. I have it now in my big age. I will cut something off, and it's like it's not a beheading. It's just a haircut, right? It's just bangs. I don't have to chop my entire head off. I'm just gonna get bangs. And I started talking to different people, and just in random happenstance, like I was describing to someone, you know how in all the networking groups you have to like, oh, what's your name? What do you do? And I said what I did, and somebody in the group was like, oh, you're in operations. And I said, that's not what I said. I'm a VA. And she's like, nothing that you described just now is VA work. You know that, right? And I was like, no, what do you mean? I'm Pay the VA. See? Pay the VA.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And she's like, sure, except that everything you described is operations, which is different. And you could be making more money. I'm telling you right now, the money you're making is nothing compared to what you could be making if you actually just took a step to the left. And I'm like, this lady's crazy. She's fucking nuts. Like, what are you talking about? And I couldn't get that conversation out of my head. And then she started popping up everywhere. You know how when you see, like, you get a red car and all of a sudden it's all red cars everywhere? She was like, clients were bringing her up. They're like, oh, my friend, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who? What's her name? And they're like, oh, yeah, we've known each other forever. She's amazing. And I'm like, I literally just met her last week. And she said something to me that I thought was rude. And they're like, what'd she say? And they're like, I'm just like, oh, she said I was an operator and not a VA. And they're like, yeah. And then my clients started reflecting back to me. They're like, we've always known this. We just thought you kept the like pay the VA because it sounds cool. But I know that what you're doing is not virtual assisting. Like, that's just not what you're doing. You're strategizing, you're coaching, you're thinking of a business as a whole thing. It's not just, oh, I'm going to schedule these emails. You're strategizing for months into the next year. And you're really good at it. And I'm like, oh, am I doing the right thing? And then when I started to explore it, I, of course, joined a program so that I can learn how to do it better. And I'm like, oh, this is really fun. And I went back to my clients and I was just like, hey, this is kind of changing. And this is what this looks like. And they're like, oh, so everything stays the same. Because literally this is what you've been doing. You've just not been calling it this, but you don't call anything by its proper name. You just like payify everything. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess we're cool then. And the more I talk to people now in like this ops space or from an ops lens, everything just feels better. It's more fun. I get to play in other people's businesses and really show them that structure doesn't have to be steel. Structure can be bamboo, and bamboo is flexible. Like, we can build this shit around you and you can have freedom and it can be beautiful and you can stay in your lane of shit that you want to do. And then I can just handle the rest and make sure that the rest is flowing. Like Ashlan, you mentioned about staying consistent with social or your newsletter. I have clients who don't want to do that at all, but want a social media presence. And they're just like, I want to post every day, but I don't want to post every day. So we create a system around that. Every Monday, I'm going to send you 6 to 8 questions. And on Friday, you better send me back 6 to 8 videos. Because now I have a transcript. I have you on video content that I can slap whatever on, all your branding on it, and that's a post. And they're willing to do that because they're talking about the thing that they love. They're talking about the thing that they built and the transformation they make for other people. So seeing a question for me who will deep dive a business and research the heck out of everything. Like getting 6 questions from me, it's easy for them to just grab their phone in different places. And now they're like sending videos back from the car wash, from whatever. They're just like, oh, to switch it up. And I'm just like, bro, can you just answer these questions? Like, this is fine. I don't need you to go be extra. Let me be extra. Like, I just need you to answer these. Whatever you need to do to answer these, that's fine. And it's easy.
I want to see somebody's video from a fucking car wash, please.
I will send you one. And they're just like sitting there, like just recording. And the amount of car videos that I get from some of my clients, I'm just like, y'all are really just out there. Are you pulled over somewhere? And they're like, yeah. I felt inspired to answer your question right now. I'm like, all right, whatever. As long as I get it by Friday, like it's cool. But that's when I knew because it was boring. Mm-hmm. And then deciding like I can actually be in charge of this. Great. Let's do it. And then the hardest part was the doing it. Mm-hmm. Because every step of the way I had to fight myself. Yeah. I've been running this business in one way, shape, or form for 15 years. Right? And I still think I'm winging it. I've built something that's 15 years old. And I'm like, I'm out here on vibes and fumes. Just doing whatever. And it was just like one step. We gotta get a website out because I've never done that before. And it needs to talk more ops. And I'm like, oh, but then people can see my face. Then people can find me. I'm like, then I'll be visible. I don't want to do that. So that was the hardest part.
Yeah. I remember when you did the photo shoot too. Those are like the cutest photos ever. Shout out to Jess and her team with the photo shoots. But yeah, I don't remember when we were talking about it, but you had told me like out loud that like things are either like a hell yes or a hell no. And that is like a good place, a good place to put yourself at. If it doesn't feel like a hell yes, then it has to be a hell no.
Oh, I love that.
To pull yourself into a space where you were back at hell yesing about this is so important. So thank you so much for sharing that, because a lot of people don't share their pivot stories, or like you said, they burn it all down or they burn the bridge and they're just like, okay, fuck, I gotta start all over again. And delete the resume. I deleted resumes off my computer. That was like my flex, is that they don't exist anymore. So I'd have to rebuild them from scratch.
I love that.
Just delete your resume.
As soon as we're done here, I'm going to delete them.
Just delete it. Just get rid of them.
Because I definitely have that folder.
Because you're never going back. Never.
This is a side hustle in 15 years ago. And since 2018, it's my only source of income.
That's incredible.
Yeah. You met me when my thing was like solidly a side hustle, and 15 months made it a full time. And I will never, ever look back.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't either. For Lorelai. Because she's going to be like, Mommy, Daddy, why are you both leaving the house?
Yeah, like, where are you going and who is this strange person? Oh my gosh, I'm going to say that.
I know. That's such a good idea, Ashlan. I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So I've got the last hot seat question here. We touched on this briefly before, and I just kind of want to bring this back up. You mentioned this on your website, and we also mentioned it in the conversation. But you said that hard isn't something that you need to carry on your own, which I absolutely love. So I guess I just wanted to bring this back up and say, what are some of the hardest challenges you've faced and how you applied this philosophy in your own life or business?
I ask my friends for help now. I mentioned that before. Like, I have wildly wildly skilled friends who have a passion for what they do. And now, instead of suffering through something or not taking action because I don't fully understand something, I just be like, hey, I need to make a website. What are some things that I should be looking at? Can I pay you to do this? Can I be one of your clients and do that? Like, I'm just asking for help all around. And I'm building my business so that my clients also get to practice that. I have one tier of my business is like a VA on demand. And I'm like, what? Please understand. I understand that this is what you can afford, and that's fine. We can make this work. You have to request things. I'm not going to just, even if I see there's a problem, I'm not going to fix it. You have to say, hey, can you help me with this? Can I, or whatever. I have a ticketing system. So, I mean, it works. They have to put in a request, but I've gotten myself also used to just asking for help. Hey, I want to start pitching communities. I want to start being on podcasts. I have no idea how to do that for myself. I can tell my client how to do it. I can do it on behalf of someone. I don't know how to do that for myself because I don't know how to talk about myself as a skilled person. I'm just like, oh, I'm just a girl. Like that's me trying to get on things. And I have friends who can share resources and have resources or at the ready. And because we've built really great relationships, are like, oh my gosh, girl, here's this Google folder. Like, have at it. Let me know if you have questions. And that is how I've built this like really wonderful internal system of asking for help. And every time I ask for something that I need, I get it. Once I say out loud, like, hey, I need this thing from you, or I need this help from you, or can you help me understand this? Nobody has ever been like, bitch, go figure that shit out. Google is free. Nobody has ever said that to me. And in my head, that's the response. And I am constantly fighting that. I don't ask my husband to help me with anything because I just don't. Why can't I do it? If I have to ask for help, then I'm weak. If I have to ask for help, then I'm not even worthy of the answer. Is the narrative. That's all the shit that happens in my head. And I still have to ask. I have to force myself to ask. And I learned that I practice that a lot with Lore because she's also a super stubborn, again, probably gets it from her dad, but super stubborn and doesn't ask for help. And she would rather start crying because she can't figure something out, or she can't get something to work, or something is broken and she can't put it together. She'd rather cry than just be like, hey, can you help me? And I'm like, babe, I'm literally standing right here. My job is to make shit easy for you. You can ask me to help you, but I got it. I can do it. And so we're both, in talking to her, I'm like, oh, am I talking to her or am I talking to me? Because I also never, like, I'll just never do that. I'll move a couch. I was moving an ottoman and hurt my back pretty badly in October to the point that I couldn't walk for a month. I was just hobbling from one end of the house, end of the apartment to the other. And the whole time, Gingy's like, how are you feeling? Also, have you learned your lesson? Like, is this the thing? You literally can't walk. Is this the thing that's going to make you ask for help when you need it? I'm like, it was an ottoman. I can move it. And he's like, I know you can move it, but you can also ask for help. Like, you can just also ask for help. It doesn't have to be hard for you. And once you involve more people, like shouldering some shit together, all of a sudden it's not as heavy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you get done quicker. And you're not frustrated. And you're not sweaty and gross.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
For some reason, that totally reminds me of when I was younger and I didn't have a car, so I would go grocery shopping. And because it was so arduous to go grocery shopping, I was that dumbass with like 4 grocery bags, like walking home and being like, you could have asked any of your friends for like a 10-minute, like, can you come with me kind of thing. But yeah, we're all stubborn and we don't like to ask for help because we feel like it makes us seem a certain way. And, and we're just people.
And then I'm also the person, if someone says, hey, I need help moving, I'm like, bitch, I'm there. What kind of coffee do you like? And I will be the first one there helping with boxes and tape and all those things. I'm always down to help somebody. And people are always reminding me, like, why do you think people won't do that for you?
Right.
Of course people would do that for you.
Exactly. And I think one of the best things I've done for my business is making sure that I have friends who are also entrepreneurs, who also own their own businesses. And I've become really close with a lot of the people in my life who are business owners, Ashlan included. And it's made such a difference opening up and talking to people and not looking at each other as competition, because there's plenty of clients and there's plenty of business to go around for everyone, and instead just focusing on collaborating and, hey, I found this system that works for me, maybe that could help you too in whatever you're doing over here. I think it's been such a game changer from the way I was taught how to run business growing up to now. I just feel like having friends, asking for help, is really what's going to put people ahead, I think, in the next decade or so.
And there's so many different, like, having friends that really understand that journey, having entrepreneur friends, having mom friends who are also entrepreneurs and are like, hi, this is a fucking mess today. This is a disaster. And they're just like, oh, girl, that was me yesterday. What do you need? Like, what do you need? Do you need some co-working time? Do you want me to entertain your kid on Zoom? And like, you can type some emails on the other screen. What do you need? And I almost feel like my friends, some of my relationships of people who have regular jobs, which there's nothing wrong with that, but those almost seem more strained because it's so different. There are days when I'm going through it in my business, whether in a good way or a bad way. Either things are really stressful or I have lots of things happening, lots of launches for clients, lots of whatever. It can feel really stressed because the timing is different. I have clients all over. I have clients in Spain. I have clients across the whole US. Like, timing for me is different. And if things are launching, I'm up because I don't want things to fail. I want my clients to be wildly successful. And that, me calling you at 4 a.m. to tell you I'm having a panic attack because something, my business and my kid and whatever, my apartment, it's just not, if you got to get up at 6 to be at work at 9, that doesn't really work.
Right.
And I think cherishing those entrepreneur because I could text Ashlan whenever and she doesn't have to respond right away, but I can just text her with a problem and she's gonna get it. I don't have to explain and use all the words. And I don't know, there's something so beautiful about having friends that are in the same space. Even if you're in the same industry, if you both do marketing, nobody's gonna market like Ashlan markets. Nobody's gonna do your thing the way you do your thing.
There's also more
competition is the lie.
Yeah, is the lie. Yeah, there's more than enough for everyone because there's going to be people who get turned off by my pink hair or think that I'm super young. Thank you, skin, for making me look super young. But there's going to be different people. There's different providers for different types of people, and you just got to find the people that are right for you and go from there. So,
absolutely.
So thank you, Pei. This was so nice to have you on and reconnect and talk about this stuff. Is there anything that you want to promote, or where can folks find you after the podcast?
You can find me on Instagram because I'm actually posting again 2 days a week because that's as much as I'm like willing to put into it. But whatever, it's happening, and that's Pei the VA. Because it's great, even though I do so much more than that. And I will promote something, which is so weird. But I started doing these 60-minute calls called shoulder bumps. The official name is like Shoulder Bump to Greatness. And you can bring anything. If you're having a tech issue in your business, your ClickUp isn't working, or you're trying to connect things with Zapier and you don't know how to do that, or you got to do website edits and you're not really comfortable doing it, like whatever you need. We do it in real time. We figure it out in the 60 minutes. If you also need somebody to hype you up for an hour because you're about to do something big and scary and you don't know if you should, right? Intentional using it out there because you can do whatever the fuck you want. We can talk about that. I've had people come on and talk about their pivots and their fear, and just, you can be completely human on this call. And then I email you with a bunch of like resources and solutions. And it's dedicated time for you where you can just show up and be yourself and know that you're going to walk away with like the shit that you need. And you can do that. I guess you can send me a DM. I don't remember where all of my automations are because all of these things are so new because I don't offer things ever. So yeah, just DM me on Instagram or find me somewhere.
Yeah, we'll put your link in the show notes for this. I definitely recommend it. Peya has given me lots of friend, conversation advice that I feel like I take into my day-to-day. So Thank you again for being on the podcast with us
Thank you.
and our lovely listeners. We hope you enjoyed, and let us know if you have comments or questions for Pei, and we'll pass it on to her. And we will see you next time for another episode of Take the Leap.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.